Okay, welcome PDBC. Nice to see everybody in this late November day, and a great opportunity for us to get together as a club. I think that we're doing a great job of staying safe, taking precautions, and taking advantage of every opportunity we have to stay connected with our sport. And today's another one of those days where we're going to share some technique tips. And this is a real opportunity for us as a club to get on the same page. Not all of us are able to be present at practice. So the big reason for today is to just share what we're working on. Our coaches talk all the time about technique, and this is traditionally the start of the season. This is a great opportunity to make technical changes. So I really want everyone to understand the technical changes we're focusing on, how that's going to benefit us when we do have the opportunity to come back to the water. So today's all about technique, and specifically paddle erg technique, and it's a great opportunity for our club to be on the same page and to progress together. That is our purpose. Before we do that, we are trying to find, I know we're doing everything we can to find opportunities to encourage each other and to work out. Whether it be together or apart. And one of the successful ways we've been able to do that is with a kilometer challenge. So I want to tell everyone well done in making their best efforts to paddle however they can. And I think this has provided a little bit of energy for athletes to get out and paddle as much as they can. So that's been a nice addition. We do have another addition this year, which is our club, our coaches I remember as an athlete growing up playing various sports, I would love it when my coach would just give me information, tell me what I need to do to be the best I can, and then it's up to me to try to follow through. So I loved getting a program, whether it was from my hockey coach or my running coach or my paddling coach, and it was things to do at home, whether it be push-ups or skipping or jump rope or whatever the case may be. So we've tried to follow that path and provide you as athletes with workouts that you can do from home. Danielle and Ariel have designed a program. And what we're really saying is, if you do these, you will be better. It's 100% guaranteed. It's not, if you do these, there's no chance of you getting worse. If you follow the workout program we've devised, you're going to get stronger, you're going to get fitter, you're going to be more ready when the next Dragon Boat opportunity comes. And with that, I think we as coaches have a bit of a responsibility to try to follow up. Now, there's a lot of us athletes, so it's not easy to follow up. So something we've designed is a Google Doc. I know you're probably going, how many Google Docs do you want us to play with? But the answer is 2, the kilometer challenge and this one. So I want to show you the Google Doc right now and show you a way that you can demonstrate that you're doing the work from home. This may not be for everyone. Not everyone may want to go onto a Google Doc and check box that they're doing the workouts, but we want to show you that we're trying to bring our team and our club together and hold each other accountable and check in on each other. So I'm going to share my screen here, and I'm going to a Google Doc. So if you're a member, if you paid your membership fee to Bridget hooked you up with a Google Doc, a folder that looks something like this. Yours may look slightly different from mine. But it looks something like this. And if I click on this folder, Strength and Conditioning Program, then this brings me into my document, okay? This Word document is an explanation of why we're doing exercises and how to do exercises. This Excel document takes me through every workout I need to do. The first page is all of the exercises, and then every week has a week number, and it has dates, and it tells me exactly how many reps and how many sets and what exercises I'm doing. So again, if you're a member, if you paid your membership fee, this is us saying, do this, and you're going to get stronger. You're going to be more prepared, okay? You may have to make modifications based on your facility, based on what you have available to you, but at the end of the day, it's a guide. It's a roadmap. You follow it, you get better. But as coaches, we often wonder, how are our athletes doing with that? And so what we've tried to do what we've tried to do is provide a feedback loop. So you can tell us if you're doing it. We've tried to make it as simple as we possibly can. If I can get to my windows at the top. Okay, here we go. So what we've done is it's called a workout tracking. PDBC workout tracking. And you should have that file in your folder that Bridget hooked you up with. And it's very simple. You look for your group. Okay, let's say I'm on rec. I click on rec. Of course, we have a little delay here. I'm just going to click on Premier because it loaded faster. But how about Senior A? Perfect. Then I'm going to look for my name, Scott Murray. And then all I have to do is click yes or no. Yes, week 3. Week 1, did I do my first weight workout? Yes. Yes, 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 yes. That's all you have to do as an athlete. You just have to write yes or no. Tell us if you did it. That way, as you progress and you say to us when we come back in January or March, Coach, why am I not succeeding in my bench press? Then together we can go back and look at the roadmap and say, did you follow the roadmap? Where did we go wrong? Maybe weeks 1 through 5 you did great, and then in weeks 6 through 10 you didn't. Also, collectively we can challenge each other to follow these workouts, to report our workouts, to get stronger. And what we're looking for in each week is 3 weights workouts, 2 paddle workouts, 2 cardio workouts, and 2 other. You're not going to do all of them. Most likely, you might do 2 weights workouts. You might do 1 paddle workout. You might do 1 cardio workout. But this document allows you to just simply write a yes or a no or leave it empty and report in to yourself, to your coach, to your teammates, that you're following the program, that you're following the roadmap. And if you follow the roadmap, you're going to get to where you want to go. So I wanted to show you that because how are you supposed to report in unless you have a sense of where the document is and how to utilize it? I didn't download the document. That's why I'm not able to write on it, but I think you get the idea. Go to your tab, find your name, and just write yeses or nos. Now, technically, we're not in week 1 anymore. We're in week 5 or 6. So you probably want to pick up where we're starting now. But this will definitely pay off in the long run. It may be a slow start. We may not all jump on right away, but eventually this is really going to lead to some huge gains once we start supporting each other, watching each other, encouraging each other to do not just our paddle workouts, but all of our workouts. So I wanted to show you that first. Second, we'll get into paddling. So I realize we don't all have a paddle erg, and that's a challenge, but even just seeing what we're working on, understanding it, when you come back to the water, things might not be so foreign to you. What we're trying to do is evolve. We have a very successful club, as evidenced by the banners hanging in our gym and the number of athletes that continue to want to join us. We've had great success over the years, but we've also learned from others. When we see other teams, when we go to international championships, we see what other Dragon Boat teams are doing and why they're going fast. And we're evolving. We're incorporating some things we learned into our training. So I'm going to go right to the erg now. I'm going to start with something that we can improve on. Something that in the past many of us do, which has given us some success, but is also an area that we need to improve on. And if you can hear me, the error we have is driving too much from our shoulders, keeping our body too stiff and driving from our shoulders. And the problem with that is that our paddle angle is changing too soon. It's going too negative too soon, to the point where it's coming up at the end of the stroke. This is not a position we want to end our stroke in. And in this stroke that I'm demonstrating, my body is not moving enough. Okay? My arms are moving too much. And this is a common stroke throughout our club. We're going to make one really, really significant change. And that is, we're going to try to pull our rope straight. If I try to keep this rope straight down only a couple of inches, the way I'm going to achieve that is by lifting my body up, pressing down and pressing my body up and forward. So, my short version is pull along the pulley line. Ariel's going to show you what the pulley is. This is the pulley. Try to pull in a straight line from the pulley. That is the number one thing that I want to share today. I'm going to demonstrate it a little bit. I'm demonstrating on my right because I think my bad habits won't show up as much on my right. I like my technique a little better on my right than my left right now. Okay? So, couple things. It's very, very difficult to pull in a perfectly straight line. Our rope is likely to go down just a couple of inches. Okay? But if our goal, if our effort is to pull in a straight line, we're going to be more successful. Okay? Remember, the place that we're coming from, the challenge that we're trying to improve upon is a stroke that looks like this. That has far too much driving down with the arms and eventually pulling the rope up. We're now going to think of this rope coming back in a straight line. Okay? Ultimately, we want to remember, we're not pulling. We're not moving the boat backwards. We're moving the boat forwards. So what we're really doing is planting the paddle here and then moving our body past the paddle. What's really happening is we're moving the boat, we're not moving the paddle. So when we plant it here, we're thinking of anchoring it and trying to move our body up and forward. So the simplified version of all of this is pull along the pulley line. When I think about pulling along the pulley line, I increase my pressure from my foot. When I feel connection with the water, I increase this pressure from this foot. That immediately helps me load from my body and drive the boat up and forward. Okay? If I feel this properly, I'm going to feel increased pressure from my foot. I'm going to feel increased pressure through my core. And I'm going to feel myself driving and lifting my body up. Okay, that's our first and most important adaptation this year, is pull along the pulley line. Checking my notes where I want to go second. Okay, important thing to know, your coaches you may be used to coaches saying deeper, deeper, okay? So I want to demonstrate that. The pulley line is meant to represent a water line. The water line is the top of my shoe, the midpoint of my shin, below my knee. When I use a paddle, an actual paddle, you can see that when I'm at the pulley line, half, 3/4 of my paddle is buried. Okay? As I pull, my paddles fully vary very quickly. Okay? In the water, in dragon mode, once we vary, once we anchor, we do not need to go deeper. Once the paddle is anchored, it doesn't have to go any deeper. Okay? If it does, we're actually allowing water to escape if we're moving that paddle. Once we anchor in the dragon boat, we want to leave the paddle there and drive our body past that platform. So we don't have to get deeper once we've anchored. Okay? Anchor the paddle, move the boat past the anchor point. So this demonstrates things we may not know. The bottom of the paddle is much lower than the point that we're pulling from. We're pulling from the midpoint of the blade. Okay? So that might be something we don't know if we haven't seen it. We're using the pressure at the catch. We're trying to find pressure beneath us to lift ourselves up. Okay? We're not driving down further. We're finding pressure. We're using that pressure to lift our body. Okay? It's not pulling the paddle back. It's pressing the body up and forward. I'll let somebody in. I'm going to have Ariel check the chat. Case. Are you able to do that on your phone? Great. I don't know. Okay. So with this, I want to differentiate where we may have, what we may have looked like at the exit in the past and what we should look like at the exit now. So in the past, when our body was not coming up and our hands or shoulders were driving a bit too much, we looked like this. And there are a few errors with this. The biggest of which is we are pulling up. Okay? We are pulling up. This was an error I have made many times on the earth. Okay? We were pulling up. And we don't want to do that. We want the water to be going behind us so that our boat can go up and forward. Okay? So this was one of the major errors. Where our hand ended up in the past is not ideal. We wouldn't want to end here in a dragon boat. This doesn't allow us to get to the next stroke properly. So these are some common errors we've had. So we're going to identify, and the third one is that our body is not in the right postured position. Our body is too forward and our chest is facing the ground. Okay, so we want to get into a better exit position that looks much more like this. Okay, and some highlights of this new or improved exit position. The number one thing I like to tell athletes is that our top hand is at our heart. Okay, that means we're at the proper exit position. Top hand at our heart. Okay, bottom hand is at my pocket. Okay, if I had a quarter, I could just put it in my pocket and then on to the next stroke. And the third thing is I have really good posture. I have really good posture here. My chest is out. I'm moving my body towards the finish line. So those are the elements of the exit that we really want to self-check every stroke. Not this, but this. Okay? Hand out my pocket, hand out my heart, chest up, moving forward. Okay? Pushing my body up, pushing my boat forward. Okay? Those are elements at our exit that can easily be self-checked at any time. Okay? I'm gonna use Ariel. Ariel's gonna go into the exit position. Pulls. I'm going to demonstrate something. This is an extension of Ariel's knee. This is an extension of Ariel's knee. Okay? Let me go on the other side. So Ariel's hand is in the upper quadrant. That's where I want her hand to end. Now Ariel's gonna do the incorrect positioning and she's gonna drive down. And when she hits this red button, she gets electrocuted and dies. Ah! Okay? So we're gonna think about that when we paddle. Okay? Don't get electrocuted and die like a dog. I don't know why dogs get electrocuted, but it could happen. It also, if she pulls too much, sometimes athletes are trying to keep the paddle too perpendicular. So Ariel's gonna show a positive angle at the catch. She's gonna ridiculously try to keep that angle perpendicular or positive the whole time. And as a result, she's gonna pull back with her top hand and end like this. This is also incorrect. So when we paddle, Ariel's now gonna do it correctly. And you're gonna see that her hand ends in the right spot. She's gonna take a full stroke here, as awkward as it is. And you can see her hand is always ending in the right quadrant. You think of your knee, and you have a horizontal and a vertical line coming out of your knee. Your top hand always stays in the quadrant above and in front of your knee. Thank you, Ariel. So just a few things there on our exit. If you bring attention to your top hand, and you stay in the quadrant above and in front of your knee, that's a helpful hint that you're on the right path. Okay, the next thing we're gonna focus on, it's a challenge, but both arms straight at all times. Both arms straight at all times. There's a couple of common errors I've been seeing in athletes as they're training, and maybe habits over time. What a better time to break habits. We haven't been in a drag boat for 1.5 years, 2 years. Let's break our habits. Let's come back refreshed and improved. So, one of the habits that's common that I'm seeing a lot is as we reach, we're softening the top arm. I'm seeing this a lot with athletes. You think we're reaching with both arms, but we're softening with the top arm. And then when we get a hold of the water, we're pressing with the top arm and changing that angle. Okay, not something we want to do. Okay, so think about this with the top arm. The rule I would say is the top arm never goes back to the start line. Never, never, never. The top arm only does two things. It comes up, and then it goes towards the finish line. It never goes to the start line. It comes up, and it goes towards the finish line. And if we can bring more attention to our arms staying straight, we're going to improve our paddle. And bring more attention to both arms staying straight. We are not looking for locked out, tense shoulders. Shoulders are down and relaxed. Arms are straight, but not hyperextended. Okay, arms are straight. Top arm comes up, facilitates reach by going forward, and then helps press through the shoulder. Okay? It is a challenge for me personally to keep my bottom arm straight on the earth. Okay? It is a challenge. I have a habit of pulling a little bit with my bicep. Okay? So that's the second challenge we have with our bottom arm. We can creep down the paddle just a touch and really try to feel connection to our core, press our body up so that we avoid doing this. Okay? Press our body up, active with our lower half, active with our core, keeping the bottom arm straight for our exit position. There's only one exception to the bottom arm straight. in order to leave the water and not, trip on the water on our return. That's the only time we're permitted to bend our arm. It's necessary to miss the wave on the return. So the only time I'm permitted to bend my arm is this maneuver right here to get up and out of the water. Okay? And we don't have to bend it all that much. Okay? The only time we need to bend is at the recovery. Don't need to bend it. So I would encourage you to not think about bending. Just worry about that when we get to the water. Okay? The only time there can be a little flexion in the arm is during that exit. Straight arms. So far, we really only have two rules that we have to remember. Very, very simple. Pull along the pulley line, keep both arms straight. There's a couple mini rules in there about where our top arm and bottom arm can finish. Really, there's two main ones. Pull along the pulley line, keep both arms straight. Okay, those are really gonna help us move forward in our technical paddle. Okay, one thing that's different with this rule of straight arms is we're going to emphasize a straighter, stronger arm at the catch. Okay, I noticed Megan Valentine just logged in and she's not going to like this because she catches like this, but that's okay. We're going to try to straighten our bottom arm and have a little more strength and stability in that arm at the catch. A little straighter, stronger bottom arm at the catch. Okay. I'm going to talk about weight transfer next. Weight transfer. This relates to reach. One of the common words that you as an athlete hear all the time from us as coaches is reach, reach, reach. Every Dragon Boat practice, that word reach probably gets used. But I want us to focus on the most effective reach, not just maximum reach. And I'll show you what I mean. My maximum reach is just to use the full extent of my flexibility, which is between 0 and negative 15. So that's the maximum extent of my reach. But to just get my maximum reach, I would just forward fold if I was in a yoga class. Forward fold, boom, look at me, I'm a great paddler. Coach told me to reach, I'm reaching. But that's not my most effective reach because that eliminates weight transfer. Okay? And what I mean is my weight is staying inside the boat. It's right on top of my knees when I do this reach. Okay? So a much more effective reach would involve me rotating and reaching and doing it in such a way that I'm on top of my paddle. Ariel, smart. Ariel's going to the front. We're going to demonstrate that from this view. This is my maximum reach. Look where my weight is. Right on top of my knees. Now, a more effective reach is me rotating and reaching such that my weight is now on top of my paddle. Such that weight transfer is automatic. Okay? So, just because the literal word is reach doesn't mean we take it literally. We've got to reach with weight transfer. And there's a nice simple drill that we can do, and we can have a prop for this, but we don't need a prop for this. Okay, Ariel's going to grab a small medicine ball as a prop to show us. So based on those two versions of reach, think of a ball right here. Think of a ball sitting on your lap. Okay? If you really want to get creative, you can think of yourself as pregnant. Okay? You can do that if you really want to get creative. And this is really important merchandise here. We want to keep this very healthy and very safe. So we do not want to squeeze it. We do not want to fall on top of it. Okay? So what we're going to do is make sure we go around it. Okay? We're going to make sure that we rotate and reach in such a way as to protect the merchandise on our stomach. And this is going to create more productive reach, not just absolute or maximum reach. This is going to create better weight transfer. We're going to facilitate our body weight coming onto the paddle. Also, this is hard to do. Just like first place is hard to do. Okay? So that's something you don't necessarily need the prop. You just need some imagination to think of yourself to not take up this space. Move around this space. Okay? Move around this space and plant your weight on the paddle. Okay? You do good. While we're on reach, the common error, we've all seen this, especially in video review. The common error, we now know where the catch is. The catch is at the pulley. That's where we want to pull from. So we want to avoid the dreaded air catch. Air catch is when I reach to here, but I don't actually sink my paddle until here. That's the dreaded air catch. Essentially, reaching further than where I put the paddle in the water. This is a pet peeve for all of us because it's inefficient. It's a waste. All I want to do is reach my furthest where I cross the pulley. Okay? Or in other words, make sure my paddle is going forward as it gets to the water, as it goes in the water. This is the easiest thing to say and the hardest thing to do. So I encourage us all to keep this in mind at all times. Try our best to get the paddle to go forward. Easy to say, hard to do. My best advice for this that is really helpful on the erg is to slow down. And I say that because in the water, we're moving. We don't have the luxury in the water to do this slowly. We've got to do it with the team. The water's rushing past us. It's a difficult thing to train. But on the erg, we don't have that water to deal with. So this is something that we can sit here at a really, especially in warm-up, at a really low speed and make sure we cross the pulley in the right direction. Not air catching. When do we most often air catch? When we go faster, when we try too hard, when we rush, okay? Or when we're fatigued and we're putting in the extra effort. It's common when we're trying really hard that we miss our catch. So this is something that's great to do in warm-up. Take time, make sure our paddle is going forward into the catch. Okay? Now adding to that, rotating around the ball is hard work. that is our section on weight transfer. I see we're up to 10 things in the chat, so we'll have some nice things to talk about very, very soon. So, talked about two things there. Weight transfer, really simple visual. Imagine a ball on your lap, in your belly. The concept of pregnancy works really, really well. I've been there twice. Beautiful time. Makes us better paddlers. Effective reach. Effective reach. Paddle goes in forward, not back. All right, the last concept we're going to talk about is something that we're actually doing quite well. But it's worth talking about, and it's rhythm and tempo. It's rhythm and tempo. The erg is slightly different from the water, so it's worth reevaluating our rhythm and our tempo. Okay, so I'll talk about that now. In simple terms, the simplest way to describe it is that the peak of our stroke, okay, is the reset of every stroke. Okay, if I were to pick where it ends and where it starts, you know, most of us would agree that this is it. So from this point, I am attempting, whether it's literally happening, I'm attempting to increase my rhythm or tempo through all phases. So from the peak to the catch, I'm picking up speed. Okay? From the catch through the pull, I'm trying to pick up speed. I'm trying to accelerate as much as possible. And once I release the water, I'm definitely picking up speed because I've gone from a load to no load. So I'll just try that in real time to try to bring that concept forward. Sort of medium, fast, fastest. And what we're trying to avoid, what happens both in the water and on the erg, is a sense of ending at the back. Okay? It's common for athletes to let their effort fade back here and end the effort there. Probably isn't a new concept to most of us, but it's something that's worth bringing into our mindset. That let's always get up to the setup quickly. Let's always have a nice rhythm and tempo. The reason is, this part here, this is variable. What the heck do I mean by this is variable? If I'm at a 20 stroke rate or an 80 stroke rate, this is the part of my stroke that changes. In the water, I expect of myself to paddle the same way at any stroke rate, meaning pulling as hard as I can, maximizing the length. But my air time, really slow stroke rate, take my time in the air. Really fast stroke rate, no time in the air. So when I think about rhythm and tempo, the air time is where I make adjustments. The water time, I have high expectations of myself, that I'm going to keep the length of my stroke, that I'm going to keep the power of my stroke, that at a faster speed and a faster stroke rate, the boat's moving faster, there's less resistance, so I might be moving faster. It may happen faster, but my expectations of my performance are still very, very high. So if there was a rule there, just sort of reset at the peak of the stroke, use the air time especially from the setup to the catch, to synchronize your timing. But always speed up from the point of the peak back to the peak you're trying to accelerate. So there's just a few concepts in there, but if we can apply them, if we can process them, these will make us faster and better. We need to learn and evolve. We have a unique advantage. We've stabilized and supported one another for a long time. Now we can grow and expand and improve. And it's a unique opportunity to really take advantage. So I'm going to invite Ariel in now to, in case there's any questions that were in the chat. Is there anything that we need to talk about? You answered them? Okay. Yeah, so I'm gonna just ask you if there's a question you still have that you want to address immediately, you can unmute yourself and ask, or you can type it in. And in the meantime, I'm gonna just summarize. It's always good to summarize. We're doing this because we can't all be together as a club. So this can be a video that brings us together, technically. The biggest rule, the biggest adaptation is pull along the pulley line. Press your body up, don't press your body down. Identify the exit position, top hand at heart, bottom hand at pocket. Both arms straight at all times. Both arms straight at all times. Top hand goes up and forward. Try to keep that bottom arm straight as much as possible. Might be a little bend during the exit. Weight transfer. Let's go around our belly. Let's rotate out and hinge forward. Let's not keep our weight inside the boat and simply fold onto our knees. Let's get maximum effective reach. Make sure our paddle's going in the water forward. Take time and warm up to practice getting our paddle in forward rather than missing our catch. Let's continue to be strong at our rhythm and tempo. Let's accelerate from the peak of the stroke all the way back to the peak of the stroke. Let's use the peak of the stroke to vary our stroke rate, our speed, our rhythm, our timing. Good? Good? Okay, Ariel's gonna ask a question.
Ideal hip hinge when it comes to the catch. In the chat, I had said everyone's flexibility is very, very different. There might even be a little bit of difference between the type of stroke I take and the type of stroke Scott takes, because male versus female, there's slightly different anatomy involved, and our hip angles are a little bit different between male and female. So in terms of the hinge, in the chat, I wrote, you shouldn't be going any lower than a 40-degree angle with your hip when you go down onto your catch. So as Scott already mentioned, we shouldn't be ending up with our chest in our lap. How sometimes people have been doing that in the past. I definitely do that. But we don't want to go any lower than that. We don't want to end up as a pretzel at the bottom. We want to make sure that our chest is still staying up off our lap, so that when we go to plant, we're able to come up and not have to push off of our lap to lift up. Okay? If Scott, if you want to add at all to that.
No, I think that's great. I'm just going to do a demo in support of that. I want to see good structure through our athletes at all times. Okay, so bad structure would be this, where my back is bending, okay, or my chest is collapsing. That's bad structure. I want to see good structure regardless of flexibility. I want to see a strong upper body. And allow your flexibility to take you as far as it can. Strong structure, really good posture at all times. I'm going to stop the video And we'll stay on for another 5 minutes in case we want to chat informally. But before I stop the video, rock and roll, party on.